Where this starts to look whole lot like the NFL is in order for schools to be able to do revenue sharing, there's going to have to be some sort of agreement with players. So players are going to have to sign something that would resemble some sort of contract. All right, welcome to NFL. Yeah, what?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you started. That's totally on me.
Yeah, welcome to the Waterboys College Football Show. Steve, as always, in the house. Our boy Strez is at youth camp. Shout out to all of you that grew up in church and have memories of youth camp. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Love mercy.
Y'all do Father Abraham. Shout out.
Many sons. And many sons. Sorry, you started it. And many sons did. Father Abraham. We're one of them. And so are you.
Right arm, left
so let's
arm.
just talk some college football.
Welcome to the show. We got Jet from Athletically Decline and the three-man rush. Why do we have an NFL guy on? Because, ladies and gentlemen, college football, as of the recording of this show, is starting to look a lot more like the NFL than it does. Let me give you a little backstory of how we got where we are. In 2020, Arizona State Sun Devil swimmer Grant House became the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit challenging the NCAA's rules surrounding name, image, and likeness. An injunction was issued that would allow for the sharing of broadcast revenue that was received by the various conferences. This antitrust case eventually wound its way through the court before settlement was announced between the associated parties in 24, which the judge approved of in June. So in addition to millions of dollars in damages related to back pay of NIL rights for athletes as far back as 2016, the $2.8 billion settlement also calls for revenue sharing directly with athletes for the first time. While the agreement covers the next 10 years, it remains clear to all involved that there is no putting this genie back in the bottle, and this will be the norm moving forward. We want to give a big shout out to Jay Billis from college basketball, All-American star at Duke. Apparently, I told Jet this on the phone. Apparently, while he was an All-American at Duke playing basketball, he also figured out a way to get a law degree at Duke. So that guy's
smart.
Wow.
Winning.
So he broke it down a little bit. So this is what this we'll break this down real quick, and then we'll talk about what this means for college football. Settlement allows Division I schools to pay to share up to 22% of their athletic department revenue with student athletes. The initial rev sharing cap is approximately $20.5 million per school. Not every school has to give that much, but that's the cap, increasing by 4% each year. And then the back pay of $2.8 billion from athletes who were in school from 2016 to 2024. And then here's the wrinkle. Name, image, and likeness deals will continue, but a third-party NIL payments or our third-party NIL payments from things such as collectives will have to go through a clearinghouse who will evaluate those NIL deals and make sure that they are real. So the
computer program after that.
Yeah. So the example he gave is if you got a car lot in Columbus, Ohio, that their annual revenue is only $1 million a year. Their gross revenue is $1 million a year, and they're paying the second string quarterback at Ohio State $3 million a year. That clearinghouse is probably going to say,
But one important thing to add, that's effective as of last Friday. So anyone who has an NIL deal in place previously to last Friday, you're clear. Anybody else who gets one Friday from last Friday to now, it has to go through the clearinghouse, the computer program essentially. And I can smell the lawsuits and arbitrations right now.
Yeah.
And
all of you is funneling money already. You're in the clear. Yeah. You can keep funneling money. So congratulations. Talk to Reggie Bush. He may know how to get away with it.
Yeah, I was going to say Reggie Bush, Johnny Manziel. They're real good at this. Where this starts to look a whole lot like the NFL is in order for schools to be able to do revenue sharing, there's going to have to be some sort of agreement with players. So players are going to have to sign something that would resemble some sort of contract. And if you're going to have to go through a clearinghouse for your NIL deal, you're going to have to sign something agreeing to rev share with your university. That gives universities a chance to build in, drum roll please, buyouts.
Music to my ear hair.
So we've been talking about this on the show for a while, Steve. How do you fix the INL problem? How do you fix the transfer portal problem? You know what you do? You put in contracts with buyout clauses where now, if you're going to go out on the market and you're going to try to transfer, you're not only going to have to get that school to give you a roster spot, you're going to probably have to talk them into covering your buyout from the school you're leaving.
Yeah, and to compound with that, to back up a little bit, shout out to Trey Wallace. I was listening to some of his comments and breakdown on this. He was saying, so basically, it's $600, right? So once you get like $600 and a penny, anything over $600 is where all this starts to kick in. You have to submit that, like you were saying, through a clearinghouse, a computer program, and then College Sports Commission will review it and see if it's reasonable at a market value deal. So technology is essentially, and this College Sports Commission, computer program, clearinghouse, etc., is going to value if that NI deal is market value or not. That's going to be crazy. And then you add potential buyouts.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know if
wow.
when I got up this morning, I thought we were going to be able to solve the transfer portal problem. It's sounding like we may be solving a transfer portal problem without having to even talk about the transfer portal.
Oh, yeah, and that's actually something that I've been stewing on this week that I've been saving. Can't wait for when our boy Strez is back to get his opinions on it, but wanna hear everybody's thoughts and opinions on it. So, I was listening to, the show Loud Outs on, MLB SiriusXM, and they were talking about college baseball, and it got me thinking about the other athletic programs in college sports. He was saying that basically, the guys on Loud I think it was Loud Outs that were saying, "I think the portal is only available in college baseball, I think, to D1 and D2 schools. But as of right now, there is over 5,000 college baseball athletes in the portal. There's only 2 schools that didn't have any kids for college baseball entering into the portal. I think it was Navy and one other school. So I think more close to accurate numbers around like 5,300, 5,400. So, but what they were saying is that's a lot of kids in the transfer portal, right? And he was saying the way that the coaching and everything is changing, that now things are getting more to roster management and not as much player development and coaching.
Yep.
That's what I have a big concern with. And what is that going to look like? Because as soon as he said that, I instantly started thinking about, of course, college football and even college basketball. And, not only that, I know that Ohio State damn near pretty much had a $20 million roster, but $20 million is not gonna win you a championship,
No.
especially in college football, and they're only gonna maybe get what? Around 16 million of that, and the other money has to go to other athletic departments. So, yeah, I mean, what is that gonna look like? Because that's not enough money, like I said, to win you a national championship, and then you've got things like we've talked about before, and I've brought up on a previous episode. Who's to say if, like, Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper wanted to come and just cut the school out and do a deal with the kid, the athlete directly, what's all of that gonna look like? It's just a lot of uncertainty
I
right
mean,
now.
and how does it affect Article 9? Because that was a real big deal here recently. Like, okay, so we're talking about all this. We got these settlements going out. Like, is this going to now come into play with where you're going to have to like also keep in consideration Article 9 for fair spending throughout all athletic programs, male and female? Like, what does that do? Like, again, yes, does it fix it? But here's the deal now. Like on the NFL side, like now you're getting into a spot now where you're going to actually start seeing the ramifications of NCAA trades. Because when you really think about it, if you're
Crazy.
buying out a kid on a transfer, the other schools, they're going to pay that buyout. The kid's not going to pay that buyout, right? So now let's get into, if you want to fix it, in my opinion, kind of to your point, Steve, you've got the transfer portal. Well, if you want to fix the transfer portal, then why don't you now limit the amount of transfers you can pull in per school to a more strict degree, and you can now trade your available transfer slots to another school. I would not be surprised if we're about to start getting into that because now, like, what's to say that you're going to lock that kid into that contract? Like, if they want to transfer, okay, well, you committed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it you know, and I want to be careful the way I say this because I don't want us to get people in the chat that are like, "Oh, well, he's just saying that they're going to do away with, women's athletics or they're going to do away with non-revenue driving sports."
Not a
But
Texas A&M.
Absolutely
well,
not.
That
well,
softball player got $1 million. Good for her.
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, sorry.
But when I look at schools like Oklahoma, when Oklahoma decided to go from the Big 12 to the SEC doesn't have wrestling. There's a lot of reasons why. One is they don't want to have to carry, according to Title IX, they don't want to have to carry another sport to complement it. At Oklahoma, we don't have Division I men's soccer. It's a club sport because for the same reason. So you've already had a balancing act with Title IX as it is. People are always like, "Oh man, University of Oklahoma, unbelievable gymnastics program," and it is. The women's gymnastic team wins national championships constantly.
Yeah. And
But
LSU.
a lot of schools cut their gymnastics programs completely when Title IX came in. That was something where they, over the years they trimmed down. So if you're a not every volleyball school is Nebraska, where it's a revenue driver. For the most part, most of your sports outside your top 4 or top 5 at some schools, they are non-revenue sports. They don't drive any revenue at all. Oklahoma's had an unbelievable tennis program. They were giving away tickets at one point during the tournament. So you have schools that are already trying to get creative on how to pay for some of these.
Yeah.
And now you're going to add this wrinkle in where you're right, $20.5 million, and however the percentage just, goes over to football, however they work that stuff out. Even if you package in NIL, you're not going to be able to put enough money together to put a team together that is going to be able to compete year in and year out. And if a booster at Texas Tech can decide he wants to spend $1 million on a pitcher, which by the way, I don't know that deal. I didn't look at the deal. I don't know how it's structured. I don't know that deal would make it past this new clearinghouse for
See,
them
that's a whole new thing
million
for me.
Hmm.
Because that guy, I can't remember his name. He, and I'm going to try not to butcher this. I can't remember all the information on it, but it seems like he damn near almost owns the athletic department, or he's
Yeah.
just like a big, huge booster there at Texas Tech. So that's the thing too. Like I said, 15, 60 million, however it gets allocated to college football, it's not enough to win a championship. So you're going to see more creativity maybe within the booster club, like that guy at Texas Tech that's just got the money to go out and get a player.
Well, in the NCAA, Miami had some problems years ago with a booster that, there was, if you've watched the 30 for 30, the guy was running out on the field with the team. I mean, and turned out business dealings were less than on the up and up. The NCAA has been worrisome of that and has really tried to control how much boosters have control over the athletic departments. Well, that may be the only way for some schools to compete is for a booster to step in. And the minute some individual is dropping a lot of money, it's real hard when that guy walks into an athletic director's office or a head coach's office and says, "I want this," for you to look at him and go, "No," because you need his money. And that is a awkward position to not only put athletic directors in, it's an awkward position to put head coaches in. But if you want to compete, you may have to play ball in a way that you're not ready to.
And Aaron, to your point, like let's take a smaller school that we've seen on the rise in college football in general, Texas State. This is not a school that should be in any stretch of the imagination like looked at as the opportunity to compete and maybe look at a legitimate division move, right? $11.6 million 22 to 23 season raised for the football department. 11 point that's a small Texas State school. So again, going back to $20 million ain't cutting it. It's not
Yeah.
cutting it.
And then you got the opposite when I'm anticipating like my Wildcats, University of Kentucky. I could almost foresee them spending majority of their money on college basketball instead of
Right.
football.
So again,
So you're going to see that in schools probably.
this Article 9 thing is going to be real interesting to how they put that in there. Because to your point, like, how are you going to divvy that out? Like, because college still is a business. Let's be honest. It is a business. And then it now makes me think, going back to some of the stuff you guys talked on the last episode, the whole Big Ten SEC thing going on. In a world that happens, do they have their own rules and regulations? Is this how they're getting us set up for them to go, we're not doing this? It's not possible. So we'll go make our own thing, and we're going to let it become the Wild West of the 90s again.
Yeah. And I want to look straight at the camera when I say this. Some of you have woken up this morning and you have just been exposed to something I've been talking about for 10 years. Amateurism in college football has been dead for a decade or more. And some of you just got your bubble bursted that you think those kids are playing for the name on the front and not the name on the back. This is the type of thing that has been happening in schools across the country. And I hate to break it to you. I really do. They don't love Knoxville, Tennessee as much as you think they love Knoxville, Tennessee, or Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or Tallahassee, Florida. They love the money that they can get and the school that could put them in the best position to play at the next level. So, this is what we ask for when we went years by pretending that these were amateur athletes and schools were making billion with a B on the backs of amateur student athletes who had to major in communications or marketing because they had to carry a light class load and they had to figure out a way to still be a high level Division I football player. We created the problem.
Can we be real honest, Aaron? You know what this is? Like, and I'm gonna be real honest with all you out there. For those of you who have been okay with this going on the way it was, just so you know, you're allowing these kids to go out there with passion and with dreams and aspirations to become pro athletes, and you are putting them in on a field while these higher up people are profiting off of their hard work. That's what you've been doing. So now this is the bed you've made, and here we are. You now have an absolute mess of a storm on your hands of figuring out in a world now where I don't know if you guys saw this, the clause that was put in for college football 25. Did y'all see that? The way that the schools are now getting paid out is schools that are utilized the most on the game. What in the world?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Everyone's like, we got to, use Fresno State or all these
Appalachian
other
State.
Yeah. Try to get them some money.
Dude, Boise's
That is
about to have an
insane.
uprise.
Oh,
yeah.
man. WKU, I got you. I got
Eastern
you.
Carolina, baby. Go Pirates.
Well, and
it's crazy, man.
And I have had conversations with people who have been inside athletic departments and people who've worked with them. The schools were no more a fan of this than anyone else was. At the end of the day, the schools were the ones being penalized when the NCAA said, no, that kid can't let someone buy him a dinner at Denny's. No, Tiger Woods, you have to actually sit out a tournament because Arnold Palmer wanted to pick up the tab for a steak dinner. Like, the NCAA made this problem by saying, everything we do is on the up and up. We're just here for the amateur athlete. We're just here to make sure that the college competition stays the same. The NCAA is a nonprofit business. And if you have never driven by the headquarters of the NCAA in Indianapolis, Indiana, drive by that and tell me that is a nonprofit business. They don't have to tell you how much revenue they bring in. And furthermore, they do very little for college sports that matters other than put on the NCAA tournament, which does not include the college football playoff because that is not a thing that they put on. So the NCAA tournament is the only thing that they do for it. So if the NCAA does not figure out something in a way that makes this work, it's not going to take just a couple of ADs and a commissioner of SEC to start asking the questions, what do we need the NCAA for? It's going to start being schools across America that wake up one day and go, wait a second. If we were for-profit businesses and we didn't have to operate in this NCAA model, our lives would be a lot easier.
Yeah. Something else that hasn't changed, and I've not really heard a lot of people talk about this, COVID years. COVID years is when they added that extra year, right? And now you've got kids that can play for 5 years, and they've never took it away. So we're going to see, I think, more kids, young athletes playing up to those 5 years. And I guarantee you that someone, let's say, that's hot in college football right now and going to probably be in the next couple of years, depending on, how he does, Arch Manning. I saw a recent interview with Arch Manning. He's already got to deal with Red Bull. His uncle's hooked him up. He don't need college, to give him money or really probably anybody to approach him. He's going to have companies approach him, obviously, but if he needed money or a deal bad enough, hey, Uncle Eli, Uncle Peyton. So he's got a Red Bull deal right now, right? So I guarantee you, I could see Arch Manning. I'm going to guess, not guarantee. I'm going to guess Arch Manning is going to be making more money throughout his college football career than he will on his first rookie contract in the NFL. So what's that going to be like? Seeing more players not go to the draft, and they're going to make more money potentially in college football than they will their rookie year in the NFL. And with all this transfer stuff too, I also think, and now with everything going on, with college sports, especially college football and athletes getting paid, this past draft, I think you're gonna see more colleges go after people like Ashton Genty, someone who had an opportunity to go to a bigger school but didn't. I think, that plays a lot, especially, in this very money-driven day and age that we live in, obviously, now with college sports. But, yeah, because, it's just so wild to see how the recruiting process has got, and now you may get hit with, "Well, how much are you gonna pay me?" Versus some kids like Ashton who didn't care how much money was on the table from other schools. He wanted to stay there and ride and die, with Boise State. So there's just so much going on and how it's going to infiltrate and carry over into the NFL. And I think that's one thing that you're going to see them going towards maybe more players that maybe wasn't at a big, as big school, but maybe they stuck there and wrote it out and
Yep.
got to be a part of that development program. I'm sure there's value, obviously, that can be obtained from going to one school to the next, maybe every year or every 2 years, like some of these kids are doing now. But yeah, I just worry about the development aspect in the future, and how that's going to translate, especially in the locker room, on the field, culture, all those things once you get on the pro level.
Aaron,
Well,
what did Haley Van Leith that did? She's played in her 4 years. She played 3 different schools.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've tried to look at, what is the upside from hopping to from one school to the next. I've really tried to put myself and thought, what is the upside for that? Um, and I can't find one. I can't find one. I mean, Derrick Henry didn't start his freshman year at Alabama.
yeah.
There are players who needed a year to sit and I mean, DeMarco Murray sat or not DeMarco, Kyler Murray sat behind Baker. And we're
Yeah.
talking greatest quarterback to ever come out of the state of Texas. And sat
Will Howard, he's a recent one. He opted to stay in, go to Ohio State, and sorry not to cut you off, but that made me think of him and watching some of the QB class with John Gruden. I've been watching some
yeah.
of that lately, and I watched Wills and stuff. And out of everyone that I watched, he just looks older, mature, like he's ready to start for a team right now in the NFL.
Like Cam Newton sat behind Tim Tebow his
Yeah.
freshman year. And then Joe Burrow. Like, remember, like that great Ohio State locker room for quarterbacks. Like,
Well, and this makes me think, we said we never wanted to go back in the NFL to the Sam Bradford rookie deal. We rewrote a rule at the NFL level because of Sam Bradford. Well, NFL may not have a choice
no, they won't.
to say, well, if we want to get these guys while they're hot and relevant, and we don't want them to stick in college football for 4 years, we might have to restructure the way that we do these rookie contracts where we can let these guys make real money. And
Yeah.
football is a sport, unlike basketball, where the shelf life is very, very small because it's a contact sport. And if a guy, which was the thing with Sam, they were like, well, this team's going to commit all this money to a guy and he can just get hurt. You're right. The kid can get hurt and his future can be over.
Yep.
So from, it just seems, I think this solves some issues, which is I think kids ought to have to sign a contract of some sort that says you're committed to that school. And if you're going to leave, there is some sort of buyout that has to happen, and schools are going to have to figure what that looks like. But also, we've got to figure out a way with this and the adjustment of the roster sizes. I don't want to see great high school players having to go JUCO, Division One AA, and then try to play into a big, Division One deal, because coaches are going to say, "Well, what's the point of looking at high school kids?"
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, I don't want to see player development and good coaching go away. The all of this, especially with the transfer portal, it just seems like we're shifting more to roster management, you know.
Um,
And I can't say that in one regard it doesn't make sense, because I mean, even the University of Kentucky, they hit the portal, got a lot of guys this year going into spring to help revamp, the offense, the trenches, and everything. And what do you do if you're someone like Mark Stoops, who's the longest tenured head coach in the SEC, and you feel pressure right now? Are you going to go recruit a bunch of high school kids, or are you going to go hit the portal and get some people that's got experience?
yeah, I mean, it's
You know?
it's listen, let's just call it like it is. The era of college football that we all kind of again fooled ourselves into believing was real, it's gone. So if you're a fan, you can either decide that I'm still gonna root my school on, which again, all these fans are gonna complain, and they're still gonna pack out stadiums across the
Oh, yeah.
country in the fall. But you can either complain, or you could say, "Okay, well, I'll put your money where your mouth is, and when tickets go up, you still buy them because tickets are
Yep.
gonna
Every
go
s- yeah, every sport has to evolve though. I think that's the funny thing. It's like, I think college football, this is just outsider looking in. College football fans think that their sport is the only sport that's never going to evolve. It doesn't need to evolve. It's perfect the way it is. Newsflash, you don't get to choose that, unfortunately. I don't know if you've watched the NBA over the last 15 years, or if you've watched the NFL over the last 10 years.
Exactly.
I mean, like my biggest thing, it's funny you bring up, Steve, in the beginning, you're talking about the development issue. Aaron, how long since we've known each other have I been screaming about the microwave generation in the NFL? And that's recent. I mean, we just saw 2021 them take 5 quarterbacks in the first 15 rounds. I mean, the first 15 picks. That's crazy.
You
That's
know
how
why,
desperate.
right? We're calling too, and I've griped about this. We're calling too many run plays for the quarterbacks. Tom Brady said it best. We're not teaching better good quarterback play right now. You get guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson even before them. Michael Vick. I get it. It's impressive. It's great. It's a great asset to have, but it's causing quarterbacks to have concussion injuries up at a higher level than ever before. And that's causing more of a drastic need to draft more quarterbacks during the draft and to stock up on quarterbacks, during the offseason, because you need them for depth. It seems like, of course, I'm in baseball mode right now. Quarterback room is the new like bullpen room,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it
you
is.
need depth.
I mean,
And
look at the
and
Browns. Did they have a
amazing.
1.5 on the roster before they started cutting after they
Yep.
drafted this year?
Yeah.
It's and I'll do you one better, Steve. I think that's the secondary issue. I think the first issue is that we've gotten to a point to where these owners, because of the billions of dollars these teams are now having to shell out yearly to run these teams, and that let's just be honest, every sports league at some level have made moves that has cut the fan bases and the interest level versus what it was years before. They feel the pressure to have to keep up with what they're spending. And to do that, you have to win. And so the pressure to win comes down to it's not good enough anymore to go 8-8 or 10-7. That's not good enough anymore. If you're not making the playoffs, your season is a failure. That is
Yeah.
the new standard in the NFL. And now the new standard with the expansion of the playoffs, that's the same thing. Winning a bowl game or winning a rivalry game in college is no longer good enough. You got to make it to the playoff now. Now it's the playoff, or it's not good enough. And so you're starting to see this trickle down effect, in my opinion, to where these NFL teams are going, we have to have these guys. And then now I think you're seeing the very first sign of it with Shador, where it's like, hey, man, like, I'm built for this. Like, I'm here to go. I'm ready to rock. I don't need anybody to tell me anything. And the NFL goes, oh, no. No, you're not going to tell us that we need to do it. And then you see what happened. I don't know if y'all saw, but as of today, he's number 2 on the depth chart.
Yeah.
We just started spring. So, I mean, OTAs. So here we are now in a situation that this is foreshadowing. Everyone understand, you heard it here first. It's foreshadowing because now the tables have turned. Now we went from these microwave generation people wanting to take these college athletes and they've got to push them out earlier than possible. And now they're telling you that I'm the guy you need to take the chance on. And now that they're being told, now the table's reversed. Now it's like, oh, we don't want to take you.
Yeah. And if you want them to go, now schools can pay them. So you're going to have to.
Exactly. And they'll go, screw you. I'll just stay and make another mill.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Listen, we're not saying the future of college football is bleak.
No.
I think
There's going to be some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, like this makes me think of Reed Shepherd at Kentucky. You know, you're still going to see people that want to go play for a school because of the name on the jersey, maybe not like how you used to. But when it does happen, I think it's going to be extra special. Just like for UK Wildcats fans, it was extra special 2 seasons ago. I think it was 3 seasons ago when Reed Shepherd from London, Kentucky played for the UK Wildcats because his mom and his dad both played for the University of Kentucky. They both played basketball there. So, of course, he wanted to go there and do that too. I think he played 1 year, maybe went to the NBA. But so that was a cool story. Yeah, there you go. That was a cool story. I think I said on the last episode, like Florida only has like 2 committed players right now that they've been managed to grab in all season. But one of the players is committed, same thing. His family's diehard Gator fans. So, you know, shout out to him. Hope it all goes well. I'm sure that's awesome for him and his family. But yeah, you'll still see some things like that. And I think now when you do like the Reed Shepherd thing, it's going to be a little bit extra special.
Fan base going to buy in.
Yeah. Listen, we're all going to buy tickets. I'm going to complain about it, and you're going to still see me at games in Norman. So I will complain about it. But
you better go to a Thunder game. Better be an OKC Thunder game. What are you talking about?
Well, they're playing right now, and I'm just hoping. All right. Appreciate you, Jet, for stepping in tonight, giving us the NFL insight on
how man
football looks like.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it as always. Pleasure going to share the stream room with you guys.
Next week on the show, we're going to do buy or sell on top 10 quarterbacks in college football. And see what as you know, as we've gone further into the summer, some guys have made some moves up and some other guys, Carson Beck, kind of look the same. So we'll see what that looks like. But that'll be next week on the show. Appreciate you tuning in to the college football show, the Waterboys College Football Show. I'm going to do the thing we've never done on any of these recordings. Do me a favor, if you're still watching at this point in the video, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. That would really make my life very, very easy. And we appreciate you. Let us know in the comments what you think of all the new changes in college football. And are you still going to watch it this fall?